Hi guys, this is going to be a little tutorial on green screening. I guess the first thing that I can talk about is the importance of file structure, and I talk about this with every class before we get started. You're going to have footage. It's going to probably be a .mov file, I'm assuming. This particular example, I'm going to be using an image sequence. Just keep in mind that it's the same thing. It's the theory that we're looking at here and how to get the green out of the footage. So you're going to be working with .movs. I'm going to be working with an image sequence. But the actual theory and instruction behind it is the same. So back again to file structure. If you keep all of your footage and other assets in the same folder and keep that folder on a hard drive and move it from machine to machine where you need to, you'll have no problem. So in saying that, what I mean is just keep all of your footage in a folder, a parent directory, call it, green screen project, whatever it may be. Inside of that folder, you can do some organizing with other folders. So typically, if I'm doing like a green screen sort of application, I'll have one folder inside of that parent folder, the root directory, and it'll be called footage, and that's where all of my video assets might be. So just if you keep everything in one folder, you'll be a-okay. So let's get started. This is After Effects here. This is the interface. You might be video editing with Premiere, but the good news is you can import your keyed out footage into Premiere straight from After Effects. So I'll show you what I mean when we get there. But first, let's pull the green out of our footage. So to import footage into After Effects, all you have to do is go File, Import, File. Or what you can do, my favorite kind of way to do it is just double click in the project panel. So I'm going to do that, double click, and I'm going to go find my footage. And it's under this folder here. And this is kind of what I mean. I have a master folder and then I have a footage folder. And in my case, it's HCW Godiva Close. So here's my image sequence. This is basically how you import. There'll be a button at the bottom that says Open. Okay, so there is my footage. Now, what I can do to actually get working with this is just click and drag it into the New Composition button, which is the third button down here in your project panel. What this will do is we'll give you a composition, and if we look at the composition, it is, in my case, 960 by 720. So it's a weird size. Yours should be, I believe, 1280 by 720, but you'll have to double check with Tom and Molly to see what your camera's actually recorded in the studio. So if you click and drag your imported footage into that New Composition button, you won't have to worry about making your composition the correct size. It'll already be to the size and length and the frame rate of what you shot. So that's good news for us. It makes it quite easy. And if I scroll through here, it's just a lady and she shot on a green screen. So I have to add an effect to this to make it so I can pull the green. And the effect is called Keylight. So I'm just going to go up to my effects menu at the very top here and choose, well, I have to be in the correct window here. There. Effect. I don't know why. Oh, there we go. You just have to make sure your layer is selected or your footage layer is selected. So I'm going to go Effect, and then I'm going to go to Keying. And we have a lot of things here, but I think the best sort of way to key out footage to date with After Effects is Keylight 1.2. And we should have that on every Mac in the school. So Keylight 1.2, we're going to click that. And what happens here is it basically gives you your effects controls right here. So we still have our project panel, but now that I've applied that Keylight effect to this particular piece of footage, I have all of the things that I might be able to do with this Keylight plugin. Okay, so the first thing to note is the view. So this is the final result. I do have a couple views here. We're going to talk about screen mat, which is my favorite way to do things right out of the box. So I guess because it's on final result, we're still not seeing anything keyed out. The first thing we have to do is pick what color we actually want to pull. So that's where this little eyedropper tool comes in handy under screen color. So we'll click that and it gives us a little eyedropper, and usually close to the shoulders gives us the best result. So I'm going to click that, and already we've pulled the green out fairly well, and this will work in most cases if the green screen is nicely lit. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the background to a different color, so just so you can see that it actually is or has pulled out all of the green, or at least what we can see with our eyes. But the next part is just to make sure that it's actually cleaned up. So instead of final result in the view drop down, I'm going to change it to screen matte. And this is typically all you have to do with Keylight, is just go between final result and screen matte. So the next thing that we have to do is just make sure that the areas that we want to keep are pretty much as white as possible. If there's any gray, that means that there is transparency, which in some cases is good because we do want to see through her scarf, but there is some problem areas on her face, as you can see around her jawline here. I don't want that to be see-through, so I'm going to make sure that it actually is white. And same with up here in the top corner of the screen here. There's actually some gray in there, and that means that there's going to be some basically leave behind from the green. There's actually some green in there that we have to get rid of. So we have screen matte selected, and we're going to find the screen matte options, which are right here. There's these little triangle buttons, which if you click, you'll see more options. So the first two things, clip black and clip white, are basically all we're going to use in this section. So if I clip the white, you'll see what happens here. And I'm just clicking on the number and dragging. So I'm looking at the black. So if you look up in the top corner right here, and I clip the black, you'll see that that black starts to disappear, or sorry, that gray that was up here in the top corner. I wouldn't go past 20 with this, just kind of a rule of thumb. It looks really good at 10 here, so I'm going to leave it. The next part is to clip the white. So I'm going to try to get rid of the gray areas in her face. That's the part that I'm working on right now. And as you can see, as I slide it down from 100, it's getting rid of the gray area in her face, and I'm at 90. So same thing like clip black, I wouldn't go more than 20. And with clip white, I wouldn't go under 80. If that's the case, then you'll end up with some kind of ugly looking footage in the end. Just a rule of thumb. So I'm happy with the way this looks. Everything is white that I want to. Actually down here on the side of her body there, I'm going to clip it just a little bit more just to get less transparency there. And I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go back to final result. And there we have our perfectly keyed footage. Now I could go back into my project and I could import a background at this point. I'll just give you an example. See if I have anything on my desktop here. Oh, here's an accident that I had recently. I'm just going to import that picture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that picture underneath my footage. Okay, so now I have my picture. I'm just going to scale this down real quick so you can see. And rotate it, of course. There's my beautiful truck that got in an accident underneath my footage now. Okay, so this basically tells me that everything looks great and it's perfectly keyed out. Okay, so now I can save this After Effects file. I'll save it in my Keylight folder. Call it keyed footage.aep, and I'll just hit save. Okay, so hopefully you're familiar with Premiere at this point. All you have to do with Premiere, if you have to edit anything any further than this, is just to import that AEP file, the After Effects file, and just choose to import the composition. In our case here, it's HCW_Godiva_close. In your case, it will be whatever the actual footage name is, okay? So that's Keylight, and if you can do everything in After Effects as far as adding, the background and exporting, which is just File Export, add to render queue, you can just export an MOV from here, but if you'd rather, you could take it into Premiere and export it from there as per usual. Okay, so hopefully that helps you out with Keylight. If you have any more questions, please feel free to email me. It's just cmartin@conestogac.on.ca, or get in touch with Tom or Molly, and we'll figure it out. Okay, thank you.